Welcome to another episode of the Forgotten Athlete Podcast. I'm your host Joseph here with Zach, co-host. How's it going today?
Man, things are really great. I'm just excited. This is NFL draft week. So just every day seeing the mocks change.
Yeah, yeah, this is going to be fun. We have different mocks every day, different mocks from different people. I know Phil Yates had a mock. He was talking. He was on the John Middlecoff podcast, and he was talking about his mock. Jaden Daniels, kind of going up in terms of his stock, in terms of his odds. Today we'll talk about the NFL draft. We'll do a mock for the first five picks. Five, you want to do five picks, and then kind of our 10 picks. Sorry, 10 picks. What do you want to do? Five or 10? I
Yeah,
think we decided
we
on
can do.
10.
I think 10. 10's a good
10, okay.
number.
Yeah, I think so too. So we'll do a mark for 10. I have 10 ready. So I got some trade scenarios I kind of wanted to go over. And then I also got news today we wanted to discuss. So today we're going to be talking about Zach Wilson finally getting traded. Has been the talk for a while now. Where Jets are kind of done with them. Jack Wilson done with the Jets. And I don't blame him. I don't blame either party. Second overall pick kind of becomes a bust. And it was a hate relationship. It turned into. So Zach Wilson over his time was not a great quarterback for the Jets. And I don't think the Jets were really great for Zach Wilson, the market, nor his play style. So him with Sean Payton. What are your first thoughts? Just first thoughts. Zach Wilson gets traded for pretty much a sixth-round pick, sixth and the seventh-round pick swap, and taking over the contract for a certain percentage. What are your overall thoughts on this trade so far?
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I fall in love with guys during the football season, and one of the guys I was in love with was Zach Wilson because I thought he was at BYU, um, able to throw from different arm angles. I saw him do a lot of the stuff that the Kansas City Chiefs with Mahomes was doing. Like I remember he had like big pass downfield, little underhand toss. Like they did all these things, and I was super excited for him. Um, Honestly, I liked him a lot more than Trevor. That was Trevor Lawrence draft, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was Trevor Lawrence,
yeah, I liked him
Trey
more than Trevor Lawrence.
Lance.
Just for me, I know like yeah, Trey Lance, I was in, and then the COVID year happened, and he didn't play. He only played 1 year, and I was
Hmm.
down on him. But Wilson, I was really high on him, and when he went to the Jets, I immediately fell out of love with him just because Salah, I'm not a fan of his career coaching record is really bad, and he keeps getting jobs. He brings coordinators in every
Yeah,
year. It feels like they have a new offensive coordinator, and
yeah,
he stays. Their defense has been solid, but their offense is just since he's been there just an absolute disaster. Um, so I didn't believe in Zach Wilson going there because I didn't think he was good enough to um overcome his situation. Like I only think there's only a couple guys who can do that. Um, but now that he's going to get traded to the Broncos,
mm,
I'm coming back into liking him because he showed some good stuff. I mean, we've gone over on the podcast. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes last year when they played in that one game. That I know the Chiefs ended up winning, but um, he did play really well that game, and I feel like he hasn't had a offensive coach that believed in him. I feel like Salah was, in my opinion, I thought publicly blaming him for all the losses, not blaming himself. Um, the weapons in the offense, I feel like they didn't do a great job putting weapons around them. I know they have Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. So people are like, well, they have these guys. Keep in mind, they paid McCole Hardman in the offseason. They paid Corey Davis, right? Um, like and like these guys just didn't work out. It's like there's something they're doing wrong. Their offensive line's bad. Like there's not a lot of stuff offensively that they put a lot of effort in. So I'm interested in seeing if Sean Payton can try to revive this guy. And I don't know if he'll be a Drew Brees, right? That Hall of Fame level player. But I'm interested in seeing if we can get the best out of him. And the Broncos now, their 12th pick, it's really
What do
interesting.
you do
They
now?
don't necessarily gotta go quarterback. They can do a lot of things. Can they wait till someone falls to them? We talked about a quarterback's best friend being a tight end. Is Bowers there? Like it's going to be really exciting now for the Broncos because now you can get somebody who can help out potentially Zach Wilson if he's the starter, at least for this year. Maybe not long term, but we can kind of see where he's at because the Broncos they need him as much as he needed them. So I think it's a good melting point. So I'm excited personally.
Yeah, I share the same sentiment of excitement. I think the biggest thing with Zach Wilson and Sean Payton, just the relationship, is Sean Payton does a really good job of fixing young quarterbacks. I mean, we've seen it in the past where he's helped out quarterbacks in terms of kind of develop and kind of get the best out of their potential. Although Drew Brees was a Pro Bowl level quarterback before, he came to the Saints. There were questions whether or not he was a franchise level quarterback, which is why the Chargers got rid of him and got Philip Rivers.
Yeah.
So there are different things that we have seen historically from Sean Payton, and I know we've kind of hated, not hated, but we've kind of spoken some truth to Sean Payton in terms of his struggles and kind of been not on his side just because of the controlling aspect and just the overall delivery he has presented himself as in terms of a leader. But I think this is a good situation because I'm looking at the starting quarterbacks and they got Ben DiNucci, I think that's how you say his name. And then they have Jarrett Stidham.
Stidham.
And you can't tell me that Zach Wilson that can't compete with either of these guys and become the starting quarterback over them. You just can't tell me. Now at that 12 pick, what do they do? Do they still draft the quarterback? I think Sean Payton knows that trading up is going to be expensive if he does
And keep in
want to trade
mind,
up.
they don't have a second round pick.
Yeah,
So they go first round and they jump all the way to the
ex-
third.
yeah, that was gonna be my pick. That was gonna be my
Yeah.
point. I was like, if they do need to trade up, they're more than likely going to trade to that Bears pick. But the Raiders have the kind of the advantages because they have that number 11 pick. Um, so I don't think I just don't think that the Broncos are going to draft the quarterback at this pick, knowing that they just traded for Zach Wilson. And they could draft the quarterback late in the round. I don't know if you and this is kind of like not top 10 worthy, but or not even top 30 worthy. But Michael Pratt's been getting a lot of love lately from the media. Like he is a name that's been like driving up people's charts. Do you remember him from Tulane? Michael Pratt?
Not, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a small like name guy, but he's like getting like second, third round mocks. I think he'd be a good fit. That's a name that I think the Broncos would trade up for in the second round. So, I think this is a situation where I think everything is up in the air for the Broncos right now. Where they're just trying to find a franchise level quarterback. And I feel like it's been like this for since John Elway. Like the Broncos have had this really curse of not having a French level quarterback. Obviously, they had Peyton Manning those years, but he wasn't a franchise quarterback just because he was towards the end of his career and they had that number one defense. But they really haven't had a quarterback since John Elway in terms of just greatness. So and who knows, maybe Zach Wilson can be that guy. I'm not comparing him to John Elway, but I'm just saying, I think there's high potential here. I think there's more high potential than there's low potential because the worst that can happen is Zach Wilson sucked. Okay, what did you give up? Essentially, a sixth round pick, so or seventh round pick. So there is no type of concern here. I would say from if I'm a Bronco fan, like I'd be like, all right, this is a good trade for us. I think we can get something here.
Well, I think looking at it too, right? They're in position to draft. I mean, I don't think they have enough to trade up, personally. So who's going to be left is like either a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix, right? And
Come on, at that you're talking about that at their 12th spot, correct?
at the 12th, yeah, Zach Wilson is the same age as these guys, but has
Yeah.
3 years of NFL experience. So you gotta imagine like that had something to do with the situation too. It's not like these are 21-year-olds that you're gonna draft and they have like a leg up. They're essentially
Yeah.
the same point in life, but one has more professional experience. And I just think honestly, I think it's a better pick. Um, and also too, you're kind of going to give the Raiders maybe second guesses too, because the Raiders thought,
In terms
we had to
of,
move in front
yeah.
of Denver. Now it's like, wait, Denver, if they don't draft a quarterback, what does Sean Payton see in these guys that he went Zach Wilson instead? So
Yeah.
it's a little mind game. I don't think it's like a huge percentage of the thought process, but I think it does kind of like um just kind of messes with you a little bit. It's like, wait, Zach, he chose Zach Wilson over these guys. Like,
Hmm.
they will stick with Minshew. So it's gonna be it's again, I don't know. The NFL is a great I don't know, it's like a soap opera. Every day there's something new. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, with Sean Payton, I feel like I'm not gonna be shocked if anything happened. I wouldn't be surprised if he cuts Zach Wilson during training camp. Like I just wouldn't. Um,
I don't see that because I
no,
think
I'm no,
if you watch
I mean,
him
I don't see
New
that happening
Orleans,
either. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if anything,
he can do whatever he can.
if whatever Sean Payton
Like
does, I wouldn't be
we saw
surprised.
Sean Payton bench Drew Brees
Exactly, that's
in
exactly my,
spots in New Orleans,
yeah,
like for
Taysom Hill,
uh Taysom Hill, yeah.
yeah. I
And
mean, that's what I'm
he
more
won
talking
games
about.
with Teddy Bridgewater. He won games with
Yeah.
Winston.
And
So I
Zach
mean,
Wilson
it's
has showed that he can win games. Like he has had flashes of, okay, this guy's an NFL quarterback. He's an
I
NFL
think
level
he's gonna
quarterback.
have the best coaching he's ever had.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a lot of things that he doesn't do right as a quarterback, like mechanic wise, where you could say Sean Payton should be able to be like, I can fix that. Because I think Russell Wilson's problem was he was so inept in his body of mechanics and just his play style because he's had so much success with the MVP levels. So it's hard. It's
Well,
kind of
he
hard to be humbled
Wilson's
when you're this
not a
successful.
traditional quarterback,
Yeah, but
and then
is
he's
Zach
not
Wilson?
non-traditional like Taysom. He's somewhere like, let me run around and throw it deep.
Yeah,
Like,
but
it could be third
that's
and five, and
I mean that's
he's
essentially
not
what
throwing to
Zach
a spot.
Wilson
He throws
that's
to a
essentially what
wide open
Zach
guy.
Wilson is doing though.
I feel like
Zach Wilson
Zach
is running
tries
around.
to.
He's
I think
just
if you watch Zach, he has the ability, but I think what people don't understand. Watch the Jets. Their offensive line was really bad. The
oh,
dude
the
would
offensive
snap
line
the ball, pressure is
was
right
very
in his
bad. Yeah,
face.
it was right in his face the whole time.
And then if you look at the weapons, he had Garrett Wilson and no one else at receiver. I'm sorry if
Yeah,
I'm missing anyone. I don't mean to
Randall
insult,
Cobb. Not joking.
but I mean these, like, they were built for Aaron Rodgers. They weren't built for Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Alan Lazar was there. Can't forget about him. His big contract. All right, let's go to a different news. Still NFL. Matt Ryan announces his retirement today. Um, he had a pretty good career, I think, in my opinion. Threw for over almost close to 70,000 passing yards.
did he really?
And yeah, 68 and a half, I believe. And his best stat overall, in my opinion, is 62,000. My apologies, 62,000. The best stat, in my opinion, is he got paid $303 million over the course of his career, which is third of all time. Um, so my question is this for you: what will Matt Ryan be known for? Like, what is the thing that you will remember Matt Ryan for? 20 years down the road, because he is I would say, formidable quarterback throughout NFL history. I mean, there are some moments in NFL history, good and bad,
Yeah.
that probably he will be remembered by. Like, if you're telling the story of the NFL history, Matt Ryan's name is going to pop up. And, maybe for bad more than good, but he is acclimated in NFL history.
Well, I think for me, because we actually moved to Atlanta in like the Atlanta area in
Mm-hmm.
2000, was it 2008? I think it was 2007,
Yeah.
2008, during that time.
Yeah.
And I remember going out there. Michael Vick was the star quarterback, and kind of excited. Red zone wasn't red zone. I don't know, like that's kind of funny to think about it now. But you would check you would get your local game, and then whatever other game Fox or CBS wanted to play. So moving out there, like, oh, cool, we're gonna see Michael Vick at least, a couple times,
Mm-hmm.
like right during Sunday. But
Yeah.
then that happened to be the same time he ended up going. getting arrested and going to prison and stuff. So uh, even I remember just being around like talking to like the kids at school and stuff. Uh, it was kind of a weird situation where the sports had been so wrapped around Michael Vick, like the Falcons. Um, like I remember being in, watching them versus he was like the first quarterback ever to win in Lambeau as a road quarterback, right? So it was all Vic, 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 Vic everywhere.
Yeah,
They had like the whole Vic experience. Like, um, Vic had his own cleat. Like, Vic was a huge, huge thing.
Vic was the guy.
And
$100 million
this,
contract, $100 million deal with
right?
Nike. Man,
Then he went to prison, right? And I think that did something to the Falcons, where they're searching for a way out of the Vic. I think he cast a huge shadow over it. I mean, I
yeah,
could be wrong, but I mean that's what that feeling of. And here comes this kid, Matt Ryan, who was from Boston College, and he wasn't Vic at all. He was the complete opposite. Vic was
yeah,
someone who was exciting to play football. Matt Ryan was very boring. Um, but I think he was the boring that the Falcons needed at the time, if that makes any sense. So for me, he's always going to be remembered as the guy that took over from Michael Vick, and he kept the Falcons in like competitive football for pretty much his entire career.
yeah, for a
Um,
decade.
yeah, and you were just talking about like the Broncos, how they still haven't had a quarterback really since John Elway. Like the Falcons were able to do Vic, and then they transformed into Matt Ryan,
Mac Ryan and
and
Matt.
then the fallout happened. So he carried that QB1 position for the Falcons for what it was 15, 14. I mean, how many years was that? Like a dozen years, something
14
like that.
seasons, 14 seasons.
So he played for them for 13 because he went to the 1 year with the Colts. But
No, no, no. He
yeah,
played for the Falcons for 14 seasons.
oh, Falcons 14. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember he was there for a really long time, and uh, he started off pretty average and turned himself into an MVP. Super Bowl, we know 28-3, that whole thing. But um, but honestly, I think he goes as someone who was able to become QB1 for the Atlanta Falcons at a time when they desperately needed
Hmm.
someone to come in and give culture and give hope to the Falcon fans. Because I think it could have been a situation where they're searching and searching and searching and be a bottom trodden franchise for decades. But Matt Ryan was able to come in and say, "No, guys, like we're gonna hold the ship steady. This is where we want the franchise to be and win division titles." In a time when they were going against pretty good teams, like the NFC South is bad now, but it used to be Cam
Yeah.
Newton, Matt Ryan,
This Drew
Drew
Brees.
Brees,
Just sorry
right?
about
Like
him.
that was, yeah.
Even the
Even the Bucks even
Buccaneers
had some
had,
good years in
yeah,
there with Josh Freeman and stuff. Like
Jameis
it's always
Winston. I
James
mean, he
Winston.
has,
Yeah, it's
I mean, it wasn't the
yeah, it's
best,
always
but
been pretty
he
competitive
was good.
though,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
he had a pretty good
Yeah.
career. I don't know Hall of Fame. I wouldn't put him Hall of Fame. I mean, nowadays it seems like they kind of lower the standards. If he gets on TV, he might be in. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Hall of Fame, but he belongs in the Atlanta Falcons like Ring of Honor, like throw him up there and
Yeah, I
celebrate him because he's a
agree.
really good player.
I agree. I think with Matt Ryan, the high expectations that were going into him are going for him going into that season, especially as a number one overall pick, and
He was
kind of
three
just
overall,
sorry, three overall. Who's number one pick that year? I think he was number one overall
2000.
pick. Was it Larry
Let me
Fitzgerald?
2008 NFL draft. Keep going. I'll let you know.
I think it might have been Larry. Okay, but yeah, go ahead. I think with Matt Ryan, I think the biggest thing with Matt Ryan is that he was able to kind of do what you're supposed to do as a top five pick, and that is kind of become a franchise level player. And I think that's what he did. He proved it. Now, does that give you Hall of Fame honors? No, but I think at the end of the day, I think one of the things we got to realize with Matt Ryan is that he was a consistent quarterback throughout his tenure with the Falcons. He rarely ever had bad seasons, and he was always available to play. Like always. Like I can't remember games where he wasn't playing in Atlanta Falcon uniform. Obviously, he
You
had those
know,
injuries towards the end of his
you know what I
career,
remember
but
him too, Joseph. I don't mean to interrupt, but I think we got to mention if like sports betting was a thing, I imagine he was like the greatest live better of all time
yeah, because he
because
had
these
those fourth
guys
quarter
they
comebacks.
were all the time they would be down, and then I just remember him. either coming back and just coming up short, or coming back to um, to win the game.
Yeah.
And then Jake
And
Long, by the way, was number one.
yeah, I seen that. Thank you for letting me know that. I forgot about Jake Long. Which yeah, which is another comment for another day. All right, yeah, but thanks, Matt Ryan, for giving us some excitement throughout your career. You're known as Matty Ice. Don't forget about that. But yeah, I think Matt
Oh,
Ryan will.
46 game-winning drives, by the way.
Wow, 46 game winning drives.
Yeah,
Do you have the ranking for that, like the NFL history? What does that look like, or no?
I can find
I
out.
it has to be. It has to be. That has to be top 10 NFL history. 48 game winning drives.
Tom Brady has the most, 58. So Matt Ryan's sixth all time.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe maybe that kind of gives him a bump up over other guys. I mean, we're not gonna have the Hall of Fame debate right now with him. I mean, I'm not about to argue that, but I think